The year is 1854, a time of great change, of industrial revolution and of burgeoning global connections. Liverpool's docks, a vital artery of the British Empire, buzzed with an almost palpable anticipation. The air crackled with the energy of commerce, ambition, and the promise of new beginnings. On this particular day, September 20th, families, their faces etched with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, boarded the SS Arctic, a vessel that represented the pinnacle of maritime engineering. The Arctic, the pride of the Collins Line, was more than just a ship. It was a statement, a symbol of American ingenuity and a testament to the relentless pursuit of progress. The Browns, James Brown's own family, mingled with New York's elite, a microcosm of society's upper echelons, all eager to return home after their travels abroad. They exchanged pleasantries, their voices a blend of American and European accents. Their trunks, meticulously packed with souvenirs, fine garments and cherished memories from their time in Europe, hinted at the experiences they had gathered and the lives they were returning to. The Arctic was more than a ship, it was a floating city, a self-contained world promising comfort and luxury to its passengers. It was a floating palace, adorned with opulent furnishings, boasting lavish dining rooms, and offering entertainment that rivaled the finest establishments on land. Flying the American flag high above its decks, the Arctic was a symbol of American progress, and above all, a symbol of safety in an era where ocean travel was still fraught with peril. Its iron-reinforced hull, a marvel of engineering for its time, was designed to withstand the harshest conditions the Atlantic could throw at it, and its towering smokestacks, belching plumes of black smoke into the sky, were a testament to the powerful engines that propelled it across the vast ocean. The Arctic, in its sheer size and technological prowess, promised invincibility, a sense of security that lulled passengers into a false sense of complacency. As the gangplank rose, severing the connection to land, and the ship's horn sounded its deep, resonant call, a wave of optimism washed over the crowd. Optimism filled the air, fueled by the promise of a safe and swift passage to the New World. Passengers waved goodbye to loved ones on the shore, their faces beaming with anticipation. They were confident in the ship's might, in the skill of its crew, and in the bright future that awaited them on the other side of the Atlantic. The Arctic, with a graceful turn, pulled away from the dock, leaving behind the familiar sights and sounds of Liverpool. Its massive paddle wheels churning the water into a frothy white wake, the ship began its journey westward. It was carrying not just passengers and cargo, but also dreams, hopes, and the collective aspirations of a nation eager to connect with the world, across the vast expanse of the Atlantic. Little did they know, no one suspected the tragic fate that awaited them, a disaster that would shatter their dreams and leave an indelible mark on maritime history. The Arctic was heading towards the fog-shrouded Grand Banks, a treacherous stretch of ocean known for its unpredictable weather and hidden dangers. The journey had begun, full of hope and promise, a testament to human ambition and the relentless pursuit of progress. But it was a journey blind to the dangers that lurked beneath the surface, a journey destined for tragedy. The SS Arctic was America's answer to Britain's Cunard Line, faster, grander, and more luxurious. Its lavish interiors, from velvet-lined saloons to spacious staterooms, redefined ocean travel. Beneath the opulence, colossal steam engines powered the ship at record-breaking speeds. Captain James Luce, under pressure to maintain this pace, rarely slowed, even in danger. The Arctic's reputation for safety bred dangerous complacency. Only 6 lifeboats served over 400 souls, a fatal oversight. Lifeboats were seen as mere formalities, not necessities. The ship's invincibility was an illusion masked by national pride and technological bravado. Progress, it seemed, had a blind spot. The first week at sea aboard the Arctic was, in a word, idyllic. Passengers reveled in the luxury and the novelty of ocean travel. The weather was fine, almost unbelievably so for that time of year. Days melted into one another under clear blue skies. Calm seas, a gentle rocking motion, and a steady routine lulled everyone into a state of relaxation. The vastness of the ocean was both humbling and exhilarating. But as the Arctic neared the Grand Banks, a notorious stretch of ocean known for its unpredictable weather, a dense, blinding fog, seemingly out of nowhere, enveloped the ship. It descended quickly, like a curtain drawn across the world. Visibility vanished in an instant. The world shrank to the edges of the deck. Sea and sky became a single disorienting void, a milky white expanse that offered no bearings, no sense of direction. The air itself felt thick and heavy. Captain Luce, a seasoned mariner, felt the pressure to keep schedule. Delays meant lost revenue, and the Northwestern Railway Company expected punctuality. He made a fateful decision and refused to slow down, gambling that the fog would lift as quickly as it had arrived. The whistle sounded through the mist, a mournful cry echoing into the nothingness. It was a warning, but to whom? And extra lookouts strained their eyes, peering into the swirling white, desperate to catch any sign of danger lurking ahead. Every shadow seemed to shift and deceive. Passengers, cocooned in luxury, dined on lavish meals, oblivious to the drama unfolding above deck. They remained oblivious to the mounting danger, reading, socializing, and enjoying the comforts of their floating palace. The fog was just a minor inconvenience, a temporary disruption to their voyage. The ship pressed on at full speed, a steel behemoth slicing through the water, its momentum unwavering. Trusting in its strength, the reliability of its engines, and the captain's judgment, the Arctic forged ahead into the unknown. The foghorn's distant wail was oddly comforting, a familiar sound in the unsettling silence of the fog. And as the hours ticked by, no one sensed the disaster looming just beyond the veil of white. The ship was a world unto itself, isolated and unaware. The Arctic was racing blind, a high-speed gamble in a game of chance where the stakes were life and death. Fate hidden in the white silence, a cruel twist of destiny waiting to be revealed. The fog concealed not only the horizon, but also the impending tragedy. A fatal encounter, a catastrophic collision was just ahead, lurking in the fog like a predator stalking its prey. The morning mist hung heavy, a ghostly shroud clinging to the waves. Visibility was near zero, the world reduced to a few feet of gray. The crew of the Arctic strained their eyes, peering into the swirling fog, their senses on high alert. Navigation in these conditions was treacherous, a constant game of chance. Every creak of the ship, every distant foghorn, sent a jolt of anxiety through the vessel. Suddenly a dark shape loomed. Emerging from the opaque curtain, a smaller vessel materialized. It was Vesta, a modest French steamer, her silhouette barely visible through the dense fog. The Vesta, a workhorse of the seas, was now on a collision course with the mighty Arctic. A collective gasp swept across the decks of both ships. The officers barked orders, desperate to avert disaster. But time seemed to slow, the distance closing with terrifying speed. The air crackled with tension, the inevitability of the moment hanging heavy. The collision was inevitable, a tragic consequence of the unforgiving fog. With a deafening crash, the two ships collided. The Arctic's massive hull, a symbol of American engineering and ambition, tore into Vesta's bow. The impact reverberated through both vessels, sending a shockwave that threw passengers and crew off their feet. Splintered wood and twisted metal filled the air, a testament to the brutal force of the collision. On board the Vesta, chaos erupted. The initial impact was devastating, and at first, the crew believed the Vesta was doomed, certain that their ship would quickly succumb to the sea. They scrambled to assess the damage, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. But unbeknownst to those on the Arctic, the damage to their own ship was far more critical, hidden and catastrophic below the waterline. The seemingly minor impact had in fact delivered a fatal blow. Captain Luce, ever the responsible commander, quickly halted the engines, his mind racing to assess the situation and render aid to the stricken Vesta. Displaying remarkable seamanship and compassion, he immediately sent a lifeboat to help, eager to offer assistance to the seemingly more vulnerable vessel. The crew of the lifeboat rowed with purpose, disappearing into the fog towards the Vesta. But beneath the surface, the damage to the Arctic was hidden and catastrophic, a silent killer lurking in the depths. The true extent of the damage remained concealed, masked by the calm facade of the ship above. Water poured into 3 gaping holes beneath the surface, rushing in with relentless force. The sea, now an enemy, surged through the breaches, threatening to consume the ship from within. The ship's pumps, designed to handle routine leaks and minor flooding, were quickly overwhelmed. They strained and groaned, fighting a losing battle against the encroaching sea. The Arctic, once a symbol of maritime power, was succumbing to the sea. The ship began to list precariously, a subtle but unmistakable sign of its impending doom. The Arctic was sinking fast. As the water level rose, seeping into the lower decks, relief turned to horror. The initial sense of calm and order dissolved into a chilling realization of the true danger. The crew, initially focused on aiding the Vesta, began to discover the extent of the damage to their own vessel, as the truth emerged. The grim reality spread like wildfire through the ship. Meanwhile, the lifeboat sent to aid Vesta, a beacon of hope in the aftermath of the collision, was now lost in the fog, swallowed by the very conditions that had caused the disaster. The rescuers had become victims, their fate uncertain in the swirling mist. The pride of the Collins line, a marvel of engineering and a symbol of national prestige, was dying, its grandeur slowly being consumed by the unforgiving sea. Its fate sealed by unseen wounds, the Arctic was destined to become a tragic footnote in maritime history. The hidden damage would claim the lives of many. As the ship continued to list and the water level rose inexorably, panic began to spread. The veneer of order and discipline crumbled, replaced by a desperate scramble for survival. The initial shock gave way to a chilling understanding of the gravity of the situation. As the realization set in, the whispers of fear turned into cries of despair. The unsinkable ship, once a symbol of human ingenuity and mastery over the sea, was doomed, destined to become a watery grave for many of its passengers and crew. Desperate, Captain Luce ordered full speed toward Newfoundland, hoping to beach the Arctic before it sank. The engines roared, but the surge doomed the lone lifeboat already launched. It vanished in the ship's wake. Below decks, water rose relentlessly, extinguishing the boilers one by one. The engines fell silent, the Arctic drifted, powerless and listing. All hope of reaching land was gone. With only 5 lifeboats left, Luce gave the order to abandon ship. Instead of order, chaos erupted. The struggle for survival began. The veneer of civilization stripped away. The ship had hours left. Every moment counted. The fight for life was about to turn brutal. The command to abandon ship unleashed panic. Crew and some male passengers rushed the lifeboats, armed and desperate. Discipline collapsed, officers' orders were ignored. Lifeboats were seized by the strongest, leaving women and children stranded. Some men retreated to await their fate, others built makeshift rafts. Captain Luce, powerless, watched as order dissolved into chaos. The Arctic's final moments were a nightmare. Stern rising, bow sinking, cries lost in the sea. 4 hours after the collision, the ship vanished beneath the waves. The fog lifted, revealing only debris and a handful of survivors. Among the lost were the Browns and the Gramonts. Wealth and status offered no protection. Not a single woman or child survived. The breakdown of order was total. Yet there were flashes of heroism. Waiter Peter McCabe saved young Patrick O'Donnell, clinging to wreckage for days. Captain Luce, presumed lost, survived by chance rescued after drifting alone. The Vesta, though badly damaged, limped to Newfoundland, its iron hull and quick thinking saving those aboard. The first news of disaster came from Vesta's survivors, not the Arctic's. The scale of the tragedy was only beginning to emerge. The myth of the unsinkable ship was shattered. The survivors' stories were few, but unforgettable. The Atlantic had claimed its due. For 2 weeks, New York waited in anxious silence. News finally arrived from Vesta, confused, incomplete, but ominous. When Arctic survivors reached Quebec, the truth hit. The ship was lost, hundreds dead. Grief turned to outrage as tales of cowardice and chaos spread. The phrase "every man for himself" became a national scandal. Captain Luce faced harsh scrutiny for his decisions. The disaster exposed the dangers of speed and inadequate lifeboats. Public demand for reform grew. Lifeboats for all, mandatory drills, safer navigation. The Arctic's loss forced a reckoning in maritime safety. The cost of progress was now measured in lives. The Arctic's story is a stark lesson in hubris and human nature. It revealed how quickly order can collapse and how both selfishness and heroism emerge in crisis. The tragedy spurred reforms. More lifeboats, better training, and caution at sea. Every modern ship owes a debt to those lost in 1854. The Arctic's wreck lies forgotten, overshadowed by later disasters, but its warning endures. It reminds us to respect nature's power and never let confidence override caution. The price of progress is steep when safety is neglected. The Arctic's echo is a timeless warning from the deep. We must remember and learn.